Hello, it's Carrie Arman from Timeless Stones Travel. Let me tell you about this powerhouse named Rita M. Perez. I stumbled upon her Prep for Wave Week course in the fall of 2022. Next thing I knew, I was devouring episodes of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast like there was no tomorrow. When summer 2023 rolled around, I just knew I had to dive deeper into Rita's world. So I jumped on board Marketing Business School, hungry for more of her savvy marketing secrets to jazz up my own travel business. It's been one heck of a journey learning from Rita, creating memories with new friends within the program. The best part is that I recently had the awesome privilege of tagging along with Rita to Europe on a marketing fam trip with Windstar Cruise Line. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Rita, I soaked up so many tips on snapping pics and creating videos in the most amazing destinations. In short, Rita's the real deal. If you're ready for a turbo boost in your travel business, Rita's your go-to maven. Trust me, jump in and let her empower your path to success.
Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This episode was really inspired by something that happened to me this week, all in honor of Mother's Day. So for those that celebrate Mother's Day, for any moms or parents that are listening, happy Mother's Day. The inspiration was because I will actually be spending time with my own mom this weekend. And she changed plans on me. And I was like, hold on a second here. So our original plan was to go spend some time at the beach. Now she just wants to have a low-key chill weekend, which actually I'm very much all for right now because there's just been a lot of stuff that's been happening and going on. And so a low-key weekend is right up my alley. But it is Mother's Day, and so I still want to celebrate, and I want to celebrate kind of big. Like, I want to do something. I want to celebrate my mom somehow. And it's funny because I don't think she really wants to celebrate Mother's Day thinking about it. I think she would rather, because my birthday is the following week, I think she's focused more on celebrating my birthday. And I'm like, no. Being a parent is a big job. I am not a parent, but I know lots of people that are parents with especially little ones, and that's a big job. So kudos to all of you parents that are out there. So before we get into really how web search and social media work together to market and help get you conversions for your business, did want to let you know that the cruise content library is on pre-sale, and I can't remember how much I've talked about the cruise content library, but I will go ahead and add a link to a YouTube video kind of announcing the cruise content library, what it is. It is pretty much a library, or what it will be once it's done being built, is a library of over 1,000 vertical videos that you can use to boost your cruise business. So right now I've loaded up river cruise photos, both ship photos, and then a Rhine River itinerary photos from that. And just will keep building this out. There are also a couple bonuses. So I have an email article bundle where you get 50 cruise themed email articles that you can use if you would like to send those out to your email list. There are also Flowdesk templates for that. And so really the big thing that I'm focused on right now is just keeping on adding content in there so that you can use it for all of your social media marketing efforts. And as you join in while I'm in this building phase, it is only $99 for the year as a thank you for joining me while I build this, because as soon as it is ready, For open launch, the pricing will be raised once everything is loaded in there. So secure the best pricing right now and head over to the link below so that we can see you inside of the cruise content library and you can make amazing reels based off all of the real life footage that I have taken over the past 3-ish years. So the next couple of albums that I'll be building in there are like the MSC Divina, the Carnival Mardi Gras. We're going to have a lot of Caribbean, Scarlet Lady, the Ama Christina. We're going to have Rhone River at Christmas time, so some Christmas markets. So that's lots more that is coming down. Those are the immediate coming down the pipeline. And then we just have more coming down. So, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out and message me. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about this web search. So my mom put a monkey wrench and said that she didn't want to do the beach. And I like to have things planned in advance. So I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And I thought this was just going to be a really great lesson to share with you, because as I was searching kind of for things to do to celebrate her for Mother's Day, I was getting frustrated. So how web search and social media kind of work together. And like really the direct example that I was using is that I was trying to find activities. Mother's Day activities is what I added into Google. And I said Mother's Day activities near this area in Florida, to just like get real specific on exactly what I was wanting. And so a couple things popped up, and this is kind of like how I do search. And so I'm a millennial, so I'm sure there's other millennials and maybe even other generations that kind of search things like I do. So I searched that, and I then went to somebody's website, and then from their website, I would go to their social media page just to see like what are the updates. Is there anything new that I should know? Are there any tips of anything that I should know? So the frustrating part for me was that sometimes people would have like Google business profile listings with some information, but they might not have like a really good website, or they might not have like any presence on social media, or they would have presence on Facebook, but not Instagram, or vice versa. And so it was just really frustrating as a user because I felt like it should be easier. It shouldn't have been that hard. So I have a couple of things that I have written down on really how you can use these together, because when we're thinking about web search, that was me going to find, like that was the first place that I was going to find. I also attempted using Instagram search, but with this new Meta AI, I was kind of frustrated with that as well. So I'm like, we're just going to search on Google first, and then we're going to check out their social media just to see. That's when we say like that funnel, the meet attract is the Google. The nurturing is that social media piece. So that was like, once I had found them, I needed to go like find more information. Were they offering special things for Mother's Day? Were there any like things that I should be aware of in terms of like events or things that were happening? So one of the things that I had found was actually a farm. And I think they kind of like did the best thing out of all, because I was searching for just any activities. Flower picking farm kind of came up, and that was my favorite one. I looked up wine tastings. I looked up like doing pottery or painting. Like I looked up so many different activities. And what I liked about the farm is that they had a really great Google business profile listing. Then they also had like a really great informative website. And then on top of that, their social media was so informative. Like it got me to be like, the farm is where I want to go. And so I just wanted to break it down within my brain, kind of like what I was thinking, so that you also know, because I'm not the only one that's doing this. I'm doing it. This also gave me ideas for like ways that I can improve social media and ways that I can improve my website or web search, because all of this needs to work together. And I think I also say this coming from a place of not like really loving social media, but in that instance, I really figured out like where social media belonged, especially if you're having like this multi-channel approach, which really is strategic with so many platforms doing so many weird things here and there. It's not that you can just be present on one platform. There is like this multi-platform approach that you need to have. And especially if you're doing digital marketing, you need to have this just needs to be in place. It's going to help you out. And so like I don't want you to feel overwhelmed either, because I know I've said a lot of different things over the past couple months between websites and social media, and I'm like, I get, as a frustrated user, I kind of get it. So I immediately went to Google search because I was looking for something. I kind of whittle things down based on the search results from there. So when you're thinking about like being found on Google as well, things that help you and boost you up is having a Google business profile. So if you don't have that set up, I do have a Google starter kit that can help walk you through that. One. Two, you also need to be getting reviews on this Google business profile, because that bumps you up even further up in search. So you want to be not only found, but also bumped up in the find, because as a search user, you don't really want to have to keep going and like filtering and like trying to find out different results. You really want to make it easy for people to find you. And the way that you do that is by having your own website, making sure that your website is maintained and updated. If you have like hours of operations, the different services that you provide and all that, making sure that your Google business profile is also maintained for the same reasons, and having some of the reviews on your Google business profile really helps like increase that clout, so that people not only can find you, but be like, okay, this might be a business that I want to look into a little bit more. And so once I was able to find those areas, then I kind of used social media as another filter to be like, okay, are these events actually happening? Are they making updates if these events are sold out? What can I experience at the event? And what I loved about the farm is that, so they had, I guess, like a recent like flower festival, and they kept the updates of the flower festival in a highlight. So if you're not using highlights on Instagram, that's maybe something that you want to use, because that's where people are finding like a lot of information. And so I know like on my travel business Instagram, if I am doing ship inspections or anything like that, and I'm adding content like via stories, you can use the content that you highlight in or update in your stories, also put that as highlights. So if you're looking at somebody's Instagram profile right now, highlights are those circles or those bubbles underneath their bio, but before the square grid that they have on their profile. And so like, I like those because those are things that you can highlight. Those are also things that you can update. So part of what I love too is that if you're sharing, so if somebody has had an experience with you, or you have had an experience and you're sharing that on your stories, anything pretty much that you share in your stories can be shared in highlights or can be stored in highlights. So for those of you that may not know, Instagram stories only live for 24 hours and then they go poof, bye-bye. Unless you choose them to live a little bit longer on your Instagram highlights. And you could have multiple different like bubbles of highlights on your profile. So this one had, now I will say, I kind of feel like maybe you should update your highlights by year, because it just helps. I'm feeling like maybe you shouldn't have like too many stories in the highlights, because that's what I like. There was information back from 2021 at this farm in one of the highlights, and I'm like, I don't need to see all that information. I just need to see like what's happening this year, like what's happening right now. So that's kind of like a tip or a hack that I was kind of figuring out in this, what I didn't understand or think was going to be an experiment for me. What I loved is that they walked you through the process of like going to the farm, how much things cost, the different types of flowers that you can pick. They shared stories from people who had like tips on make sure that you bring flowers, make sure that the cup that you buy has water in it before you go out to the field. So, and these are the tips that people are wanting to find out because, interestingly enough, earlier this week, I had read, I think it's from the group Travel Agent Hacks. Lean is the group leader for that. She was talking about how she sent a mother-daughter group over to Portugal and they had a terrible time. And they had a terrible time not because of Lean, but because they were not prepared, which it's hard to imagine, like people not prepared. They were complaining that people didn't speak English where they were, that they couldn't find parking, like little minimal things that us as expert travelers and seasoned travelers are not big things. Like they couldn't read the menu. There weren't dishes that they were used to on the menu. Little nitpicky things that I feel is common sense, and I'm sure you probably feel is common sense, that people should know about traveling. They had no clue that this was going to be the experience. Lean was mentioning that as soon as they landed, sent her a message like crying that they wanted her to book them back home and like get refund. Like it's a whole story. So if you're in the Travel Agent Hacks group, you should check out that post because it's really a little bit bananas. But thinking about that, that's part of our job. And I'm not knocking Lean or anything because it sounds like Lean was very extensive. It just also sounded like these were super inexperienced travelers. And so I think that's also part of like doing like your own market research. But things that you think people know, they might not know. They might not be so obvious. They're obvious to us. And so like bringing your scissors to the farm to cut the flowers, you would think it would be an obvious, but you would also think like maybe the farm would like have scissors so that you could use. So like having that expectation already that you need to bring X, Y, and Z for you just makes it a better experience overall because you're ahead of the game and not behind the game. So I say that story to really showcase that this is the stuff that should be on your social media as well. I'm not saying that you have to give away all the nitty gritty, because some of that information really is going to be reserved when you are working with your clients. I'm just saying it is super beneficial to like get that insight from somebody else ahead of time when you're trying to make a buying decision, because for potential travelers, that could be a make or a break. Like if I'm seeing posts that keep trying to get me to buy something versus posts that are being helpful, like which business am I going to go with? Like I don't need to know that you're having sale on this, sale on that. I mean, that might be beneficial, but I also want to know that this is how you work, or this is what the process is like, or this is what I should expect when I get to X, Y, and Z. And I think this, I say experiment, but it wasn't even an experiment. This occasion, this happening kind of helped me also to see the difference between what you should be putting on your website and what you should be putting on social media. Because I feel like social media is a lot of where you're updating people, you're giving them pointers and tips and hacks. And your website is to basically give a base overview, like what are your operating hours, what services that you have. On top of this, like I searched a lot of websites, and sometimes it was super painful because like blatant information, or what you would think is blatant information, was really hard to find. Like if I wanted to make a reservation, how do I make the reservation? Or could I make the reservation? So that was another one of my observations, is that you just need to make it easier. So, okay, before I get into like just making it easier, looking at the website as almost your storefront. And then really social media is kind of like your hype person. Look, we've got all this amazing things, and look at all this other stuff. Like that is where you're building the relationship. Your website is the introduction, social media is the relationship. Because again, like not only is it that you can have information, and for some people it may be an introduction as well, but when we're thinking about social media as opposed to your website, people aren't really binging information on your website. Like they're looking, they might binge like blog episodes and all that. But that's not what I had even done. I wanted to see like the legitimacy of the business, get some foundational information from the website. And then I wanted to see like more nitty gritty, how these people operate, what I can experience from the social media. So, and that's why I say like, you need to have like a multi-channel approach, because other people are going to be thinking similarly. Like I would not have made my final decisions, I feel, based solely on the website. So I would go on the website, then I would check where their social channels were. Like, are they active on Facebook? Are they active on LinkedIn? Are they active on YouTube? Like, where are they active? So I can go over there to find out the additional information that I need. A lot of the social media pages, and this is part of like where I say like make it easy. Make it easy meaning have the booking site, have an inquiry form, have like what are the next steps. So that like do you have a Calendly form? Do you need them to send you an email? Is there a contact form on your website? Making it easier for people just to make whatever reservation or whatever inquiry it is they are with you, because the easier it is for me to do something, the easier it's going to be for me to pull the trigger and work with you. Then when I think about social media, if you're not active on social media, or maybe you haven't been active on social media, there needs to be something, and maybe it's just a post or it's a graphic saying, I'm no longer active on this platform, but you can find me over here, whatever platform you might be active on. So I know some of you may have like taken a hiatus, or maybe you're like, I don't want to focus on Instagram, I just want to do Facebook, or vice versa. People who trust you and like go to different of these social media platforms, they expect that if you're having, just like I did, if you have a social media platform, you are using it. And if you're not using it, tell me where I can find your best. Like, don't make me work for it and figure it out on my own. Tell me where's the next best place where I can find what your next updates are. And you can actually do that in Google Business Profile, as well as you can do updates and things like that. But that's kind of like where I was going to with social media, to find out, okay, what's the latest and greatest? Are there Mother's Day activities sold out or not? I think that this also helps to improve the trustworthiness. Like, yes, you can just have your website, but especially if you're focusing on marketing with digital marketing channels, and you don't, for whatever reason, you don't have the time to go to networking events in person or anything like that, this is where it ups the ante in having those social media channels up and working for you. Because again, like, it's kind of like, okay, I can take you at face value, but I'm a little bit skeptical. So I need to know a little bit more information. So I want you to kind of like get into the brain that I was and the lens that I was thinking through. So that was like one of the big takeaways, is that I didn't realize until this like experiment thing how much I really use social media to build trustworthiness in other businesses that I find through a web search. I think it's also super important to be very specific and using multiple keywords on your website or on blog posts or on your social media channels. So it makes it, again, easier for you to be recommended for whatever somebody is searching for. And also just to have alternate keywords available. So I was searching wine, I was searching vineyard, I was searching wine bar, I was searching wine shop. Like if you have a couple of those different terms already somewhere in your website, and you are not a wine bar or anything like that, but you have to think about that family travel, traveling with kids, traveling with teenagers, different keywords that people are going to be using. Like those are the things that they're going to be inputting. And again, being super specific. So I was like, Mother's Day activities in this area. So, and that's how Google was able to spit out exactly what I was looking for. So you need to remember that when you're a little bit nervous and you want to be a little bit more general, it is okay to be specific, because that's how the people who are wanting exactly what you offer will be able to find you. Because if you're a little bit wishy-washy, it's going to be hard not only for them to find you, but also for search engines to suggest you as a listing, because they're not really sure what you do. So if you say you do like 50 million things on your website, Google doesn't know if you actually do that or not. But if you keep talking about cruising, keep talking about expeditions, keep talking about family travel, sports travel, whatever it might be, Google's like, oh yeah, this is the sports person, this is the expedition person, or whatever. So they know how to point people over to you. Sometimes people just need that quick answer fast and now. I felt like it was pulling teeth looking for different suggestions. And so again, people are having immediate pain points. What is that immediate pain point? I needed to find Mother's Day activities. Like that was my go-to. So for your clientele, what is their go-to? Are they losing their mind because they're stressed out and they just need a vacation to get away from the stress? Are they like anxious to celebrate the end of school year? Are they teachers anxious to celebrate the end of the school year? Are they brides trying to plan like their honeymoon or their destination wedding or whatever it might be? Is it somebody that cannot wait to like renew their vows overseas? Like what is that immediate pain point that you are solving? What is that your people have? And like really speak to that and then provide tips to assist with that as well. Make it, again, easy for people to do business with you. Like have a calendar available. What's your checkout? List out your services. And this was also a really great, and maybe I might make like an audit. Let me know if you want like an audit checklist about things that you have to make sure that you have like on your website or that you're talking about on social media, so that you can have like this cohesive ecosystem that's working for you in terms of marketing your business. Because like I found some things that I'm like, oh, like these are things that I need to have in XYZ places. I need to have like a central hub of information. And with this podcast, I feel like my central hub of information, like everything that you would ever want from me, is kind of like listed on the it's strategictravelentrepreneur.com/everything, has everything that I offer in my business. So maybe it's not necessarily that you need an everything page, but maybe it is that you need that services page and letting people know what you do and who you do it for, and being like super specific. And if you're having any events like webinars to promote any cruises or trips that you have coming up, like being very specific where those are, how people can register them, and for when and all that. Just make it super easy for people to do business with you and not want to pull their hair out. And then if you're not active on social media, point people to wherever you are active on social media. And that may be like somewhere else, but it's just so frustrating if you say that you have an Instagram page and then you haven't posted in 3 years. It's okay if you don't want to post in 3 years, but then let me know, because that shows me like, okay, well, their website said one thing, their social media is telling me another thing. So what's the real answer here and all that? So I hope that these kind of tips and pointers kind of help you when you're thinking about creating that cohesive ecosystem in digital marketing, what your website needs to be doing, and then also what your social media needs to be doing, and how they really do work together to create what should be a seamless and really exciting experience for your client, because your client should feel as excited about working with you and planning their next trip as I did about wanting to go to this farm and picking flowers this upcoming weekend. Now, I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen, but it was just a really great experience. And if I don't do it this time, I at least know that there's a farm in that area that has different experiences. So I have them in my back pocket if it doesn't work this time around. So let me know if you have any questions or want a couple of more insights on this experience, but I thought this was a really good learning for me to share with you, especially on the podcast, how digital marketing kind of like works in your favor. All right, you have a wonderful week, and I will see you here next week.
Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.